Who would be a Wolves fan, eh? On goes Bull. People might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal!
Hello, everyone. It's Stu hosting today. Welcome to Wolves Fancast. Good afternoon, Blake in America. Good morning. If you listen to this on a glorious Bank Holiday Monday and you've survived the weekend of celebration, or good evening to all of you joining us on YouTube. Get your comments in. Yeah, so with me and Blake is Ed. How many times have you been on before, Ed? I think it's 2 or 3, something like that.
Yeah, second time. This is the hat trick now. This is the hat trick. This is the bully arms out in the airplane pose time for me.
Now, this is the well, we've already gone off topic already. But what is your if it was your hat trick ball, and you just said the bully celebration? If it wasn't the bully celebration, what would your hat trick celebration be?
I mean, I'm not the size to do the Robbie Keane roly-poly, but I definitely would try. So I think that's what I'd go for.
Blake, I don't think this question's ever been asked on this show before. So what would yours be? If by some miracle you weren't playing in goal and were up front scoring a hat trick for any kind of MLS team, what would your celebration be?
You know, I played hockey for years, and I always, no matter what, when I played forward, would just easy little celebration of fist pump. So I think it would probably just be 2 hands in the air. Wouldn't even be anything that complicated.
Superb. Almost. I was going to say it's a combination of Alan Shearer and Harry Kane there, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Best of both worlds. Right then. It feels weird to not be angry or depressed for a change. As we always do, we'll how were you feeling going into it? Because obviously, Dan, and if you watched the preview show last week, there was a feeling of trepidation in the air, I think. So we'll go for you first, Ed. How were you feeling before the lineup came out? Say 5-2 yesterday afternoon. How are you feeling?
I think I bought into little Dan's optimism, to be honest. I went down the "we are the banker." I had 1-0 in a predictions thing that I do with some of my friends. I had 1-0 away, and it did work. But I was relatively confident, but mostly because I thought Everton are awful, more than I think that we're good. I think it was more that if you could have picked a team for us to play yesterday, I would have picked Everton. The fans are probably more toxic than anyone else in the league. They're all over the place on the pitch, and I was relatively confident with at least a point, to be honest. Relatively confident.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what and mainly because of how awful Everton are, rather than how well we've with an XG of around about 8, I think, going into the game and 1 goal to show for it. How about you, Blake? How was the discourse over there with Wolves going into this? Because obviously we're in this global world of things. Most people were kind of not on our backs yet here. But over there, I'm imagining it was a little bit different.
I don't know if I would exactly say that. I think it was sort of the same, where I just felt like it was 2 crap teams, let's just be perfectly honest. And I just thought that it was going to be absolutely nutters, whatever the heck happens. And I did go in thinking it was going to be a draw, so I was thrilled to come out with 3 points by the end. But yeah, it just kind of felt like, it did feel like if we were going to get 3 points from anywhere, it had to be from here. You know, if we had lost this game, I think we'd be talking about being in serious trouble right now. But thankfully, even if it was just by the luck of Sasa's shoulder, we've gotten 3 points. And, well, hopefully things will be getting a little bit optimistic moving forward.
He doesn't know if it was his shoulder. He doesn't know what part of it himself it came off. And looking at the video and watching that goal multiple times today, I don't either. But all that matters is it went in. And I think there was a reason why it was being dubbed El Crapico, for the reasons that you just both said. So we'll go to 2 o'clock and the lineup. What did you think of this, Blake? Because I know I seem to be the only one talking up Sarabia in this fine group of people, and I wanted him in there for stability again. But now with Mateo suspended, he brought in Hwang, and Bueno in for Aït-Nouri. What was your thoughts behind this?
Yeah, I don't blame him bringing in Hwang. I mean, again, we need goals from somewhere, and the fact that he had scored against Brighton, I mean, it's better than nothing. As much as I like Silva, he's still just a newbie for the Premier League in all matter of fact. So I don't think that we can really rely on him to be the big forward. And I think that was kind of the idea that we had with bringing Kuna up top, was that Kuna is the sort of player that can actually drive through the middle. I mean, we saw that against Brighton and, well, against Manchester United too. And I think there was sort of this idea that if we could put Kuna up top, he would be able to drive through the defense and actually get us some chances going through the middle. But obviously, I just don't really think that worked out. And I don't know. I don't really know what you do with this team at this rate. It's such a weird hodgepodge of players now that I think there's nothing much you can do other than tinker and just hope that we find the back of the net at some point, which is sort of what happens yesterday. So as much as I want to say, well, I don't know what I want to say about that lineup, it kind of worked.
Yeah. And no Joe hodgepodge jokes there. But I think you're going to touch on Hwang there. So for you, Ed, with how well Aït-Nouri had done, especially for me anyway, personally, was when I was surprised, especially starting the game.
I think I was surprised, definitely. But the only thing with Aït-Nouri has always been the case is, can he play 3 games in a row and play for the whole 90 minutes or, the majority of the 90? And maybe Bueno offers a little bit more in terms of staying wide. Maybe Aït-Nouri, I was at the home game last week and he tended to drift inside in this. You can't talk about football without talking about an inverted fullback at the minute. But he certainly was coming in a lot more inside than Bueno normally does, because Bueno's right foot is even worse than Aït-Nouri's. So I wonder if it was part fitness, part trying to make the Goodison pitch, which is quite narrow, as wide as possible, maybe is the option as well. I think Hwang made sense in terms of he knows where the goal is, and for someone who I thought he was one of the worst players to pull on the old gold about a year ago, his character arc, I've put it in the comments a few times, for me is a bit like a Marvel superhero, where he's sort of gone from a hero to anti-hero and back again. When he came in, he sort of burst onto the scene. Then he went through a period of, couldn't trap a bag of cement, and now he's back to being the only one who knows where the goal is. So I think, as Blake said, I think he was more of a roll of the dice of he knows where the goal is. So hopefully he'll nab us something on the break, or a goal that bounces off his head like the Brighton game.
And it's just his luck that he's done his hamstring again.
Yeah.
just as he hitting some form. I was going to say, let's going to break it down first half, second half, but what do you say about the first half? Other than how was it 0-0?
Yeah, I think looking through any notes that you might have made, it was just Danjuma chance missed, Sá good save, Danjuma chance miss, good save. That seems to be what the first half was, from everything I've seen.
Yeah, and the one that was blasted into the side netting from about 3 yards out, which from where we were seemed. It was one of them, because it seemed to hit the stanchion and the side of the net and ripple. It was like, oh shit, here we go already, and thankfully not. But like I said, I've watched it back, and it seemed clear as day that was offside anyway. The one that he tipped onto the post in the first half. The whole flag debate started up again. Is this as big a problem as we think it is, Blake? Because I personally don't care, and the amount of so-called injuries that happen because of this has never happened. It's annoying, but on the same token, how many goals has it actually saved that would have been ruled out otherwise?
I don't really care one way or the other, to be perfectly honest. I used to care a lot, and Stu, my feelings on VAR are not very positive. But as in terms of this whole letting it go, I don't really care. I remember Patricio nearly got injured during lockdown football, and there was some hullabaloo about that. But after that, I've never really seen any incident come from it since. So I don't particularly think it's any more likely to cause injury. I just don't really think it matters that much. I just hope that whatever decision we get to is done quickly. And it seems like VAR has been doing a better job of that this year. So hopefully that continues. And, in terms of when the flag goes up, I'm not that bothered by it because, I remember so many times back before we had VAR, back when we were in the championship, we'd see the ball go in and then, 3 seconds later, the flag would go up. So to me, it's not much different than that was.
Yeah. And that's fair. I mean, that's been my argument for quite a while with it, that it's annoying, but it's one of them. And you talk about that, we might as well talk about the two offside, the disallowed goals, because I think the discourse over Fabio is getting. We'll come on to it later, but that's an instinct. That's a striker's instinct, putting that ball in from where it was. And again, we talked about Bueno earlier. That ball in, Ed. How superb was that ball in again?
Yes, yeah. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was sort of an attacking midfielder before he got transferred to being a left back. And I think you can kind of see that he knows where to put the ball, and it's a wonderful ball in. And like you said, I think, as cliched as it is, Fabio clearly knows where the back of the net is. But when he's given any time to think about it, he's kind of in his own head at the moment. And that was just a brilliant finish. And maybe he's only that sort of half a yard offside because of the pressure that he's maybe putting on himself, that he feels that is being put on him to get that goal, that he's kind of had to take that half a yard lean forward, which has caused him to be offside maybe there as well. So I think it will come. I think it will come. I know we'll get on to Fabio, but I think it will come. I've seen enough, I think.
Yeah.
There's something there.
I think playing him where we are doesn't help, really. Because I had a bit of a tete-a-tete in the first half because of how awful it was. And there was a couple of people slagging him off for not tracking back and not running the channels. And you think, well, he's supposed to be playing in the middle. He's not supposed to be running the channels. And I mean, we'll get to that. Go talk about our forwards now. I mean, you look at that and you look at Neto. We mentioned Twang, Cunha, Blake. Did he play yesterday?
I know. It's tragic because he played so brilliantly in our first two matches, and then he was just nowhere to be found yesterday. So it's just really unfortunate. I mean, granted, you're playing him out of position, so I don't necessarily can say that I'm surprised, but I don't know. It's disheartening because we need to do something up front, and I don't know. I just don't know. We have to gamble with something at this point. So I don't necessarily blame Gary O'Neill for sticking Cunha up there and just seeing what happens. But at the same time, he's someone that I think we desperately need in our midfield.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, Ed, because we've talked about this before, but I don't think anyone other than the people at the club think he's actually a striker, which is worrying.
So my answer, if you'd have asked me that question, is what is his position? I genuinely don't know if we know where that is yet. And for a player of his age, with the money we've paid for him, to not have a plan of any regard on where we're going to play him is mind-boggling. He's not a centre forward, but he's not necessarily sort of one of these players that can play on the wing that cuts inside. His skills seem to be driving through the middle, but is that where we need him right now? I don't know. I think you have to play Fabio because until Kalajdzic is up and running, who else are we going to play up front that's going to not waste their energy as well? I think that's the other thing that you're talking about at half-time. If Fabio runs back and wins the ball and we have to clear it, who are we clearing it to? There's no one up there. So at some point, you have to stop and stand still sometimes as a striker and just let the ball come to you. And I think that's important as well. Sometimes with that focal point, we actually need one, don't we? And Cunha isn't that. So I'd like to know where he is going to be played because he's clearly got some skills. Like we saw at the Man United game, he was unplayable. But again, that wasn't really as a centre forward.
No. And Dean Marsden in the comments there. Hello, everyone in the comments. There was no space centrally yesterday. It'd have been better off coming in from the left, which, again, that was Hwang's position. And Hwang didn't really do it either. It was so frustrating in that first half. But we're almost at the stage already after what 7-8 months that we're in a Joelinton position where you said it yourself, Ed, he's more of a midfielder. That's where he seems more comfortable. And have we spent 40 odd million on a striker just to convert him back? And it doesn't matter what happens to Matthäus now. We've got the other Matthäus instead.
Yeah, well, that was something I was considering today when I was thinking about it when I got the call up for my hat trick. Is that could we make a profit on one Matthäus and move the other one back? Because it seems to me that they do similar roles, do it similarly in terms of being able to glide with the ball. And could we then use any money that we may or may not have with FFP to maybe bolster, the defence and the forward line, and leave our midfield with just the second coming of a different Matthäus?
Yeah, fair point. And there's a valid point here from Sean Crow. I blame Nunes. I think his speed opens the middle for us. Was that what was missing yesterday, Blake? Because it looked sterile as anything in that first half, especially.
To some degree. I mean, I think that we still were able to generate some variable of chances. It's just that I just think we're crap. I just don't think there's any way of getting around that fact. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think. I don't know what you do with this group of players, to be perfectly honest. I mean, we're playing fine considering what we have, and we could be way, way worse off than we are right now. So I'm thinking our lucky stars that we are what we are. But I don't know. I just don't know. I think that's all I can say is that it's just crap, and I don't think it mattered who was in our midfield for that match. I think it was going to be just as terrible of a first half as anything.
When you've mentioned midfield there, so let's get on to it. Was this the first game where we missed a certain captain? Because I know I've been, and Gully as well, have been very vocal about how we'd be a better team without Neves in it moving forward. And we saw how attacking we were. But yesterday, despite the stats, which we'll put up later, which is astonishing, really, that midfield of João Gomez and Lamine yesterday looked overrun from the start, didn't it?
Yeah, overrun, overworked as well. I think they have been in the opening part of the season as well, and we can't rely on their engines always being firing to sort of play two players playing 3 or 2.5 players worth of, covering 2.5 players worth of ground. And yes, I think although it's hard to admit, Neves is someone that you kind of, as a Wolves fan, you revered him, you loved him, you wondered how the hell we ever got him in the first place, how we held on to him for so long, and then you kind of try and maybe not convince yourself, but then say, do you know what, we could be different without him. And I felt last week as well as this week, sometimes we were missing that player in the middle of the park that wasn't afraid to want the ball and turn and play the pass, not just even forward, but to hold on to it for a bit as well and be that out ball that we were lacking. I think if we're going to insist on sort of the Brighton mold of this Laporza thing where you stop and you wait and you bring everyone onto you, sometimes you need someone in that middle that's able to then break the lines with a bloody long ball sometimes to not just get rid, but to get rid with a purpose. And I felt like that those two players that you just flashed up there, I love both of them. I think they're brilliant. Their heart and soul is fantastic on the pitch, but creativity wise, there's not a lot in those two men there. And sometimes we are going to need to play a fellow crap team, as Blake said, and have someone that's slightly better than what they have. And Neves would have been that yesterday. He would have been that creativity in midfield that may have sparked something.
I mean, we all saw the videos of João Gomez before he signed, and we haven't seen any of his carrying the ball that we were promised, have we, Blake? I think that for me is the biggest, not worry, it's just an enigma, because he did it last season a few times and we know that he can do it. Maybe again that's another plus point of if when Nunes does go, that he will be the one to then carry the ball forward from midfield if we are carrying on with these two. But is it tactical, or is he just stifled with a job that he can't really do, Blake?
I'm not sure if I rate him, to be perfectly honest.
Wash your mouth out, sir.
Wow. There was stickers all around Wolverhampton and everything.
I know. We did the whole signing video and everything, but I don't personally see it. Everything that I've seen, it just points to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he's going to do fine, but I just don't think that he's any replacement for Neves or Moutinho for that matter. And I don't know. Maybe it gets better with time, and maybe I'm just a fool. But I don't see that happening personally. I just don't see it happening.
Maybe he's not the replacement. Maybe it's that we need to change our tactics to make the most of him. And I think that might be where we are with it now. He's also taken the number 8, which my 8-year-old can't believe. He's like, he doesn't deserve the 8 yet, because Neves was his boy. So maybe don't look at it as maybe that. I don't know, Stu, if you agree, but you can't look at it as a like for like because there aren't many Neveses. There's a reason that everyone always said that there was not many clubs in the world that wouldn't be improved by him, at least in the squad. And Joao Gomez isn't that kind of player. So maybe don't look at it as a replacement is maybe the only thing I'd say. But I also see what you mean. I thought he was pretty terrible at the Brighton game last week when I was there. 5-yard passes were going astray. And it was quite simple.
Yeah. And I think yesterday, for the first time, it seemed very much like one of the greatest players we've ever had in Moutinho, for the people who can't see on my canvas behind me. That midfield of Moutinho and Neves, who just sat there and didn't carry the ball. There were so many times for me where it was on front of it, kind of had a go, and it just got recycled out wide, and no one was willing to take a chance. Which maybe it's we're not going to go Blake take. Blake take is bad take, and you can put that in the comments right now, and I'll share everything you want. And again, for people who moaned about my microphone, I have done everything I possibly can. If he makes me laugh, it is not my fault, okay? But like with Fabio, he seemed to be doing a job that he's not suited for, which almost was suited for Boubacar Traoré yesterday for me. The forgotten man who might play on Tuesday, he might not, but who knows? I'll presume that this is young Daniel in the comments. Will be an extremely difficult game next week. Lerman Decore versus Joao Gomez and Lamina. It doesn't look favourable, does it? Even however way you look at it. But that's what we've got. That's what we've got a squad, people. That's what we've got a squad. Barely a squad. But... So we've slated the midfield in our win. We've slated our forwards in our win. Let's go to defence. Nelson Semedo, Ed. I'm part of the Semedo club. He's an odd player. After the absolute slating he got last week, and maybe overly harsh. Obviously, he was at fault for 2 of the goals of the 4, but I thought he was solid yesterday. I don't know about you.
Yeah, solid. Happy to get his foot stuck in. So I've got an Everton mate in a group chat who kept saying that he was lucky to be on the pitch. He 2-footed someone from behind and all this kind of stuff. And that was definitely the ramblings of a man who was desperate for his team to get any kind of advantage whatsoever. I'm a fully paid member of both the Kilman and the Semedo club. I think you have to remember what's expected of fullbacks in this day and age to play both ways. It's a bit different, sort of the 90s, and Gary Neville could overlap and never get the ball and all that kind of stuff. He has to be an option. And he's often left on a bloody island by himself as well, let's be honest, which I think happened more than once against Brighton, which is where mistakes happen because you're covering for 2 or 3 many players and a lot of space and a lot of yardage. Yes, solid yesterday. I think there was only one sort of chance that came in behind him, which was more of a half chance. I thought he was solid, and I always think he is solid. If these Man United rumours have anything in them, if Wan-Bissaka doesn't come the other way, then they can all get to lost.
Yes. I'll go from weekly being annoyed by him and trying to stick up for him when he does ridiculous things.
Yeah.
But again, I think, like you said, I think that's probably the perfect thing. Stuck on an island is exactly what happens to him over and over again, and he gets pulled all over the place. Talking about being pulled all over the place, Blake take. Craig Dawson yesterday talked to me because are we seeing his age now? It's starting to worry me a bit. Like your Blake take on this one.
Ironically, I don't think he's doing quite bad. I mean, he closed down, I think it was Dan Newman on one chance in the second half brilliantly. And I mean, he's getting older. Sure, fine. But I personally don't see him having a serious problem. As Evans is saying, commanding fullback would be a nice touch. I mean, we kind of lost that with Cody, and I know you're not exactly the biggest fan of that, Stu, but I think that, I don't know. I don't think I can shake any of those defenders for the performance they gave yesterday, and I'm just not going to do so.
That's fair. That's a fair Blake take completely. Again, our boy Max. I don't know where this has come from, but any Wolves fan who thinks Max Kilman ducked under the ball in the lead up to Sar's wonder save gets bed now TV. I have no idea where that's come from.
No.
That's obviously silliness. But since it's been mentioned, our Lord and Saviour, José Sá, 6 saves, 5 saves inside the box, 1.23 goals prevented, 5 high claims, 3 out of 3 duels won, 1 clean sheet. He's gone from Player of the Year to scapegoat galore. As a fellow member of the Goalkeepers Union, Blake, you've got authority on this one with me. Is that vindication yesterday for why he's here? Definitely.
His distribution yesterday was brilliant as well. It's worth noting. And I think it's very easy to sort of shake down a goalkeeper and say that losses are attributable to a goalkeeper. And, I will admit that Saul is keen to a fair few more mistakes than Patricio was. I think that that's a fair thing in saying. But that being said, Saul still has some absolute moments of brilliance in him. And yesterday was it was exactly that. I mean, there's no reason that he should be falling over looking like a fool with that ball in the back of the net. And yet somehow he's able to keep his balance, go the extra step, and somehow miraculously tip that ball over the bar. I mean, it's simply magnificent. And it's the only thing that kept us in that game. And yeah, I think we'd be an absolute mess without José Sá. I think that's fair to say. And I think that Wolves fans that want to give Sá a hard time should really take a harder look in the mirror, because I think that this team, I think we'd be way worse off without him than with him.
Yeah, and that Sá was one of them where watching it in real time, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's very rare that you see. I mean, Pickford had already pulled one off anyway, the other end, which was out of this world. But then for that to happen, like you said, in midair to get that kind of thrust was just superb. I mean, it sounds like a silly question, but would you rather have Sam Johnson in goal for said rather than José Sá?
I mean, no, not just because of where he's played. No, I think José Sá, you have to take the rough with the smooth, because the smooth wins us games like yesterday. Sam Johnson is a steady performer that will play okay in a mid-table team that is fully functional, and we're not fully functional right now. We also need a keeper that the stat that stood out for me that you just put up there, Stu, was the 5 claims. That is incredible. 5 high claims, and the XG literally stopping a goal, if you believe in XG, which I do, as a useful stat. But those 5 high claims, that is 5 times he's taken the pressure off the team. 5 times he's taken the pressure off Dawson's aging legs, who's having a Jody Craddock in reverse kind of Wolves career, where he's started off brilliantly and ending where the song will have to go the other way around. But those 5 high claims just means, I mean, also that's what 4 or 5 minutes of waiting on the ball, getting up, eating some time away from home, and getting the crowd against everybody, their own team, their refs, us. That's I think he wins you games, and he may lose you 2 or 3 points in a season, but he'll also win us 6, 7, 8. I think the maths works for José Sá in our favour.
Yeah, massively. And I think, like Blake pointed there about his distribution yesterday, a couple went out for throw-ins, but he's a goalkeeper, and I don't understand where this thing of goalkeepers have to have 100% pass completion rate comes from, because no other fucker on the pitch does, and no one moans at them. And just because it happens now and again, I mean, half the time he was booting it to Neto, which was odd. But if he doesn't boot it and he passes it out from the back, people shit themselves, which is again strange. And I made a comment on Twitter. I wasn't being flippant for a change. It's no surprise to me that his 2 performances against Man United, where he was great, other than the one where he went walkabout when we were under severe pressure. But again, his presence there was superb. And then yesterday, he was, as people have criticised him online and in person as well, and on certain other podcasts, that his command of the box wasn't great. And then you look at that yesterday, and that was like Matt Murray-esque, who also couldn't keep the ball, by the way, and would be roasted if it was if X was around in 2002-3. But yeah, I thought yesterday was redemption. And is it a Blake take to say that he is better now that a certain goalkeeper coach has left and we've got someone who knows what they're doing?
I don't think that's a Blake take. I think that's something that we're gonna maybe see the fruits of in the coming weeks. I agree with you completely as well with the distribution thing. I mean, if you go back in the day, distribution was always 100% because you just booted it up to the 6'3" bloke up front who won a flick on to get the ball come back at you quickly. That would class as 100% pass success rate, but it's not. I just think, José Sá. There's a reason he's in the Portuguese squad. There's a reason that clubs sniff around him every summer. And goalkeepers, I think, as Blake said, every now and again when you pull a Ricky as a goalkeeper, it goes in the back of the net. That's the difference. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also very easy to scapegoat a goalkeeper because the mistakes shine brighter, don't they, with a goalkeeper?
Yeah, and especially a goalkeeper like him as well. I mean, you can look at the different types. We mentioned Rui quite a bit here already today, and he was as steady as you get. I think was it John Ruddy who said he's never seen a goalkeeper who doesn't leave his line as much as he does, and that was his thing. He stayed on his line. He didn't go anywhere else. That was his bag. If he getting done, like in the comments, someone put where he got done at the near post all the time. Yeah, that happened because that was his thing. José Sá is going to come out and claim everything. He's a bit mad, like with the videos of him on that bike going around Tetnall in his first season here. But if you're going to have an eccentric personality, then you're going to accept some mistakes sometimes. And yeah, I agree with you, Ed, that you take the rough with the smooth thing. But again, when you look at the, we'll go to the stats of the game. I know we teased it earlier, but incredibly, we had 53% possession. I don't know how that happened. Because to me, it's and in certain other videos as well that featured me over the weekend when I had no voice, we were talking about, it was a smash and grab, it was back to the wall, which it was. But according to that we had more possession and more touches and more passes. Is that true? Because it certainly didn't feel like that.
I think it is. I mean, we had fair spells of possession. I just don't think we were really able to get into the box and actually do anything with it. So I don't think it's as much of a smash and grab as many would like to make it out to be. I think that we played relatively fine. It's just almost like always nowadays, we really struggle to get the ball in the box and actually get shots on target. And yeah, I mean, there was nothing that I saw in that performance other than the fact that both teams are crap that made me think, oh, Wolves are having a poor day out here. It felt about normal. And in the second half, I mean, things were really end to end. I mean, it felt like both teams were getting a fair amount of chances. So I think we did just fine, really.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Ed? Did you think it was a bit hard done. Because I know watching Match of the Day that they seem to go. He talked about it being an entertaining game as well at one point. I can't remember who the commentator was. But when you look at that, and it looked like it was a 2-2 in the making, which I suppose taking the Wundersows out, it could well have been.
Yeah. I think entertaining doesn't always mean the best football or the best thing that does it either. Entertaining can also be car crash TV's entertaining, isn't it? But you don't necessarily want to watch it every single day. Entertaining in terms of, I think, like Blake said, it's not quite a smash and grab, but it's as close to it without it being it. It's a perfect away day performance, and like I talked about earlier, I think Everton is the one club that would, if you'd have picked me a fixture after the 4-1 against Brighton, it would have been Everton. Everton at home for them would have been the fixture I picked because, I mean, their forward line, I mean, if that is worse than ours. Look at 15 shots, 7 on target, and bar a couple of wonder saves. And I mean, the Decore header is awful. It shouldn't be anywhere near where that is. That's the other thing that maybe we should applaud José Sá for, is that no one headers the ball a yard down in front of them and expects it to loop in the way that they went for it. So yeah, it's entertaining is probably the right word, but maybe not in the the true sense of the word as we'd like to believe. It's not quite Mick McCarthy, Nottingham Forest kind of entertaining game. Yesterday it was a bit more of a one in the trenches kind of game.
It was a top end championship fixture, that's for sure.
Yeah, that would have been on the. See, Blake, since you've left our fine shores, you haven't seen the excellent kind of jazz funk music that accompanies the EFL highlights on ITV. Which, if you want to VPN that, people, go right ahead. ITVX, not Twitter X, ITVX. But you mentioned earlier, Ed, that you're a convert of the Church of XG, and you you look at that. 1.33 to Everton, 1.15 to Wolves, 1.9, 1.4, depending on which thing you go by. So we have to come to the main man, don't we? We've talked about keepers, we talked about attack, but is there a sweeter moment than, let alone scoring with very few minutes left, but for our sweet prince, Sasa Kalajdzic, to come on, and I mean the celebrations spoke for themselves, and it was madness, absolute delirium in the away end yesterday. And the quote from Gary O'Neill there: "He's worked so hard to get here, and Sasha came with that finisher we need. So pleased for him." We talked about this earlier, that we need an actual striker, and Fabio's not really suited for that. He's so popular in the dressing room, very highly thought of. And to celebrate with teammates and the fans in that moment is very special. And it was so many people just screaming his names that yes, Sasha, that it was emotional, man. Oh, I was like tearing up. And obviously everyone's seen the documentary, what an amazing bloke he is and whatever. But it was, for me, I don't know how you felt, Blake, over there, that it felt on a par with Raul at Southampton.
Yeah, it really did. It's just great. I'm so happy for him. Obviously, he's had a torrid time, considering the whole ACL, and it's just great to see him score. I mean, obviously for us, for obvious reasons, but for him as well. And I just think that hopefully this can be the turning point for something. He's tall enough to be able to head the ball without even needing to jump. So maybe finally we can have someone who can get their head on the edge of some of these crosses that Wolves like to pump in the box 90 times a game. And, so often we saw those balls just fly through the box and go to no one. And who knows, maybe Sasa could actually be that player that can finally get headers again. I mean, I think that's something that we really missed with Raul. And, obviously, no offense to him. I mean, he did his head in, and there's obviously every reason in the world that he would be afraid to go for headers after that. But it was just something that I've always felt we've really been missing. And who knows, maybe Sasa can bank in on that just from his height.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we've had tall strikers before. He's not Kevin Kyle, is he? He's got, I know that might be a bit before your time, Blake, but for those of us who saw that great man grace our field, he's got great touch on the ball as well. Very Peter Crouch like for me, Ed.
Yeah, and that was Peter Crouch's podcast that he talks about himself as being a head on a stick at the end of his career at Burnley, doesn't he, Peter Crouch? And there was Tarkowski. That's his bread and butter, getting rid of those crosses, and he was scared of the fact that we had this 6'7" bloke lurking behind him. So scared he passed him on to an actual child in their right back to deal with. So for me, I think that shows you that I think not just because Blake's here, I'm a big NBA fan, they have a phrase that you can't teach height. And that is something that I think that we can maybe not use as some kind of sort of secret weapon off the bench, because that I don't think we'll be getting the most out of him. But it will mean that we can, when we need to, change tact. Even during the game, if he's playing and he's playing more of the hold-up role that we have, but also we could just change tact in terms of, if we're going to persist with playing Neto on the right, in swinging crosses is the only thing that's going to be of any benefit from that when he's given as much time as he was yesterday. That makes Sasha incredibly important, 7 yards out with the ball being whipped in. Pickford can't come for that. Tarkowski doesn't deal with it. And the right back in the end goes, oh, I'm going to have to try and do something, and runs into the back of him, but it's too late. I think there is definitely Peter Crouch vibes about him. He's sort of got that archetypal cliche of a good touch for a big man, and he seems to have a good personality, like you say. On the back of his documentary, he's clearly gone through the ringer as well. So for him to score, to go into the scoring away from home, maybe is even more special, because the away fans are crazy. To go to Everton, it's a horrible little sitting on wooden seats kind of in the corner there. So it's a great memory that he's going to have with that, certain thousand Wolves fans, that is going to carry some kind of legacy. Let's hope he becomes some kind of cult hero on the back of it, is what we're hoping for.
Yeah, and I think the big problem we've got now, that because he is so amazing, that his song was just the Fabio one, and not the curly hair one, the other one. And I mean, Dan has tried his best on our Twitter account to get the Kylie Minogue "Can't Get You Out of My Head" start intro ditty going. Everyone knows it. It just takes one brave soul. Maybe on Tuesday night, maybe that's the time to bring it out. This is how the Nuno chant started at Barnsley away. Everyone forgets that, but it only takes a few lunatics in a pub to get it going. There's hope yet, Dan. There's hope yet. There we are. Flopped again. You don't give up. There's still time. But we touched on Neto. He's the Adama, the frustration-led enigma of the year, isn't he? I mean, I can see a little giggle there, Blake. Just go, Neto. What do you do?
I feel so bad for him. I love Neto, especially when he first came to Wolves, and that first season that he played was just brilliant. And then ever since then, it just feels like he's completely dropped off. And yes, playing him on the right it's not the right place for him, is it? And I don't know. It's unfortunate that he continues to put in these poor performances. That being said, he did provide the assist, and it was a brilliant assist at that. So I can't knock him too hard for yesterday. But I don't know. You just feel like there's a much, much better player there, and that we're just not getting. And I just think there's so much potential there that I think we're just not getting. And to me, it's so disheartening.
Yeah. And he's never, for me, recovered from his injury, really. Well, the second injury as well. Doing it again with our Dr. Death and his brilliant minds of doom, letting him just play on when he was clearly down injured again. And he was just coming back into his own, and he gets another setback. And is that the reason why, Ed, that he doesn't open himself up? And he's clearly got the pace still. And he showed it quite a few times in the first half, where he was one of the bright things about that drab affair in that first 45, where he did pull the afterburners on at times and get down that right wing, but then you've got the problem of cutting back in. So it has to be a confidence thing, surely.
I think it's confidence, definitely, because, like you say, he is putting on the afterburners, he is outrunning people, but it's with those injuries, it's the stopping, isn't it? It's the stopping and the twisting, and it's the micro movements, isn't it, that cause those issues. But is it, and maybe this is a question to throw back at you, Stu, or to Blake, is it as simple for Neto, just put him on the bloody left? I can't stand him on the right. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. He was so much better on the left. I'm thinking Chelsea Chelsea away in the lockdown season when he scored that goal at the end. That's just bursting down through the middle on the left-hand side, shoots across goal with his left foot. He doesn't have to do anything other than run or stand on his right foot. And when you don't have any chance of going on the outside, he's going to have to cut back in all the time. And that is where these injuries he's picked up are going to be at their most vulnerable. He's going to be opening up those muscles, those ligaments, every single time, cutting back as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I for me, it's a no-brainer. I'll put him on the left every single week without fail, because how many times has anyone cutting? I know you talked about at the start that you're talking about fullbacks cutting in. But if the fullbacks are cutting in, then the wide forwards can go wide. That's the whole point. Maybe that's the thing. But then you come up with a conundrum: who do you play on the right? Does it really matter if you've got someone like Neto putting crosses in with his natural left foot? Then you worry about the right.
Well, we were playing Hwang on the left anyways, and I don't think that worked at all. So no. we haven't got any wingers at the moment. So why not have one on the left and none on the right?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I mean, we even talked about Mathias Cunha earlier, that he's played there before on the right of the front three, and he was fine. So did Sarabia, but we're going to get told off again for talking about him, so we won't. And I will mention, I did think, I don't know how you felt, Blake, when Fabio went off, we looked a bit numb. We looked a bit blunted, and for all that we slagged him off for not being able to do that role, we lost something for that little time when Sarabia went up front for some reason. I don't think that's going to work.
I don't know what to do with Sarabia. I don't know. In fairness, I haven't seen a lot of him because last year I was working a lot during our match days, so I'm probably not fit to make any comments at all. But I just don't know what you do at this point. It's just, I think we're such a mess up front, and I think I just don't know. I just think that Wolves are an absolute mess at the front, and that's really our only issue. I think if we were to have any sort of player that can make it work on the attack, I think we'd be probably competing, well, definitely in the top half of the table, that's for sure. And I don't know. I'm always just, I hate this feeling that I just don't know what we should do anymore. I just don't know. I hate it.
Oh, Blake, get used to it. Blake, get used to it. I'm almost 40 years in and we never really have a plan.
No, we don't. I mean, it was so easy when we could just say, just put Jota up there and let him do the rest. But nowadays, it's just, I don't have a clue, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I think that goes for a lot of us. We'll go on to what we could do later. Well, in a brief second. I think this is going to be universal, but who's getting the 4-pack of what do we even do? Can we say Madrid now, or is the Madrid phase over? Has Madrid hit America yet, Blake? I'm guessing it hasn't.
What is Madrid?
Exactly. There you are. There's your Blake take. We'll clip this up. This is the answer. Madrid is basically calling for chavs. It's rebadged and told that it's kind of made with Madrid influence when it's actually just a bit tangier calling. Not for me.
No, me.
No. Who's your 4-pack of Banksy's going to then? Go on then, Blake. Go for it.
What do you mean? I don't even know what you mean at this rate.
Man of the match.
Oh, man of the match. Gotcha. It's got to be Saul, hasn't it? I mean,
yeah.
There's no one else for it. It has to be Saul. I mean, he was the only presence that really made himself known in that game. I mean, granted, Sasa scored, but I don't even know if he knew fully what he was doing when he scored. So, yeah, I think it has to go to Saul.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah.
I think
four cans are mild for Mr. Sá. I think that's where we are with it.
Yeah, put it on the basket on his bike on his way home. We'll have a brief 7-second break for the live viewers, and then we'll come back in a minute and talk about the future and what it holds, especially Thursday. But yeah, Sá, easy man of the match. We can't give man of the match to a guy who was on the pitch for 2 minutes before scoring a goal with his shoulder. We just can't. So stick tight. We'll be back in a second. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. there's certain characters in this squad. I don't know why they're still here. Well, I know why they're still here because no one else wants them. Daniel, he has put something out tonight. Don't smile because it's over. Smile because it happened. For me, I don't know what he's talking about. What happened? Because I've hated him ever since he's been here. But for you, talk to me about Daniel Podence, because I think it says a lot that he's still here with a year left on his contract, probably available for about £5 million, and there's been no takers.
He's a waste of time. He's a waste of time on the pitch for me. He's a waste of time off the pitch. He's got so little man syndrome. It could be a case study in a psychologist's study. I just get rid. There's a reason that even Scottish football aren't paying any money for him. You can do a drag back. We get it, Daniel. Just get over it. Yeah, I'm done with him. I was done with him a long time ago. Bar the Arsenal goal when he dinked it over Leno and popped it in. I think that's the only time he's genuinely impressed me. And his attitude for me seems like it's stunk for a long time. And right now it's honking. Right now it's awful. Just get rid. Don't even train with the kids. Just go to your nice home gym where you were there. Put your cryptic messages up, and we'll see you at the end of your contract.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Dan can say this because he's the same height, small man syndrome, and he's not even sticking up for him for that anymore. He's just. I said kind of flippantly, I suppose, but at the time that everything started going to shit when we signed him. And you look at when we did sign him, 3 months later, COVID starts. Was it COVID's fault that Nuno went mad, or was it Podence being here? Because the guy seems toxic. And to put the little no coincidence, little question mark thing up when Lopetegui went, and then for Cunha to do it a week and a half later, and you think, well, if you're not even liked by your own teammates, then maybe you're the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you send him? Like, if you're on board with the hatred of him, of course, would you banish him below the under-21s? Would you just tend to stay at home?
Before I touch on that, I would just like to say that I could not care less for the social media activity of footballers. So I don't like Podence because I don't think that he was able to ever match the potential that we think we signed him for. So that's my aside on that. Fuck him off to the MLS, why not? But no, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. What the heck do you do with him? I just don't know. I mean, he wasn't even on the bench yesterday, and no surprises there, but I don't know. It's either sell him or just screw him off. I don't know what else you would do with him. I mean, I think it's too petty to put him on the U21s or below that for that matter. But I don't know. It's just, it's the thing with this club. I'm getting so tired of just everything that happens to deal with this club, because it feels like every single signing that we've made in the past 3 or 4 years has just turned out to be rubbish in one way or another. Not fully rubbish, in fairness, but it seems like single thing we do just has a massive list of drawbacks with it. And I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
Look what it's done to him, people. Look at him.
Yeah. You can tell Blake didn't see us in the 90s.
Well, yeah. Look, I know
you're having your moment. You're having your moment on live on stream as well, Blake, which is it's fun to see.
This is a guy who chose to come here from Orange County to watch Wolves, and look what it's done to the man. It's broken him. He now looks older than me. Yeah, I think there's clearly no way back, and I think you're right, Ed. If Celtic were the only ones in talks with him, it kind of says everything about the guy, really. It's Bomb Squad 2.0 stuff at this point. He's not the only one, though, is he? We had a thing straight after the game. Mattheus Nunes has been linked with a move to Man City. He's got 4, potentially 5 years left on his contract. He's obviously suspended for this weekend, but we rejected a bid because we didn't feel it met our valuation of what Mathias is worth to us. So we move on, was the quotes by Gary O'Neill. You then go to tonight, and it's come out from Fabrizio Romano, exclusive. Man City submitted new bid for Mattheus Nunes, package around 60 million euros with add-ons and club confident to get it done. Personal terms agreed days ago. City optimistic. Opening 50 million plus 5 million add-ons was rejected. Remains City's top target, and seemingly Cunha wishing him happy birthday, says that he's off apparently, but it's a done deal, isn't it, Ed, at this point?
Yeah, it's just a matter of eking out what we can for him, right? Trying to get whatever we need to balance the books, whether it's for FFP or whether it's for Fosun, whatever you believe or don't believe about our finances. And maybe can we pick up a Man City player or two, maybe a one on loan, one permanent signing. I think that's where we are now, isn't it? We're thrashing out those add-ons probably. It's probably not even the cash. It's what can we get back to give Gary O'Neill anything in return, or else we are going to have to end up maybe asking Podence to sit on the bench at least, just to fill out the bench. It's a done deal. It's nice to have seen you for less than a year. You looked wonderful when you glided around on the pitch, but yeah, he's also going to be one of those Wolves players that leaves and just goes strength to strength, playing with even better players, isn't he?
Yeah, and I was speaking to a City fan I went to Southport yesterday before the game, and they were really excited. I mean, like over the top excited about him coming, which I know that a few of them had the same thing with Vidama because he destroyed them once at their place, obviously, and then he did a number on them at home a couple of times. But yeah, it seems like playing in a team of rubbish for a year doesn't really help anyone, but playing in a team of superstars who've won everything will just escalate him to the next level. I know you didn't have the pleasure of seeing him in the flesh, Blake, but did he come across that well on telly? Because he looks, when you look at the highlights, he looks as frustrating as anyone has been for a while. Yet the squad there.
He looks fine. I don't know if he looks like a Manchester City player to me, so I'm not entirely sure why they're thrilled to be having him. Not to say that it won't work out, but I mean, Manchester City just has so much bloody talent. So he seemed fine. I mean, he looks great on telly, but he just, I don't know, it's very odd. And I think it's going to be, I know this isn't exactly the question, but I don't see us signing another player. I know there's been some rumors about us signing that Swedish guy, or not Swedish, but Swiss player. Who's in Swiss, whatever. But
Elvedi.
Yeah, him. I don't see it happening. I personally don't think that any of this is happening for FFP reasons from a personal standpoint. And considering we haven't spent money so far, I don't think that anything's going to change with that. So if you're holding your breath thinking that we're doing this to sign players, just look at what we did with all the other players we sold. Absolutely nothing. So yeah, it's just, again, just done. Just so done with this.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this club's broke like it has, he's quite spectacular, really. I didn't expect this tonight. But we're going to be happy. We fucking won as well. Look what's happened.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. What if we'd lost yesterday?
I think a lot of people are directly blaming Fosun. And look, I think Fosun have their fair amount of blame, but the market in China has just completely soured. And I wouldn't be completely shocked if the financial situation of Fosun is completely different to what they expected it to be at this stage, considering when they bought us. So I think it's just this one domino after another that's just that's led us into this strange Murphy's Law football club where everything that could have gone wrong since Nuno's departure has gone wrong. And I don't know, it just feels to me like it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I'm praying that this win against Everton is just going to turn it all around. Maybe we buy this Swiss guy and we, I don't know, finish 12th this season. But I don't see that in the bag.
Everton are in talks with him tonight as well, this guy, apparently.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Yeah, who've Everton clearly have FFP problems, don't they? But yeah, I was going to say to you, how do you feel that the window's going to go? But I think you've. Are we going to sign anyone?
Very false.
True.
No, very false. It's so false.
Yes, all along. Very false. Do you have any hope, Ed? I mean, he's already ready to hang the free USB charger around his neck and end it. Is anyone coming in?
I genuinely think the only way someone comes in is what I just talked about. On the back of this Nunes deal, do we get a player and a player on loan from Man City? They chuck us a bit of their scraps from the top table, and we try and make it work. That's the only way I see us buying anyone, unless there's someone on a Matt Doherty free somewhere. I don't know. Someone put a comment about Lescott. Can he lace up his boots? Do you know what I mean? I think that's where we're bargain basement shopping right now, and not even in the Brighton way, where we've got our scouts looking where other people aren't. We are scrabbling round, wondering if David De Gea's got a club yet, and can he play up front?
Yeah, it's just farcical, and I have enjoyed the whole focusing out to every post that Wolves that Josh and Cal put out for Wolves media team, which is it's unfair on them. Obviously, they're not part of this shit show, but it's the only way. I mean, me personally, if they came out and just said we can't put any money in, you have to be self-sufficient, which they kind of have in a roundabout way. But just be completely honest, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it. Like Blake said, everyone knows what China's like at the minute. See from the outside looking in. I personally wouldn't have a problem with them saying, look, we can't invest anymore. We've kind of written off the 120 odd million last year. We're doing it this way for a reason. I wouldn't have a problem with that. It's the Trumpian way of doing things. It's the lies and the deceit and the pretencing of things that are just, I don't know. It's annoying me, let alone what it's doing to youngsters like Blake over the pond. But saying
in fairness, I do enjoy the chaos. So at least there's that. I mean, that's the one thing you can always count on Wolves for, is there's always going to be some sort of mental chaos, and it's going to be fun.
I mean, it comes to something, doesn't it, where our friend Joshua on the Whole Lot of Wolves podcast literally rubbed lemon and salt into his body because we were so cursed. And he put this on Twitter for everyone to see. Go and look at it. Joshua Buckley on Twitter. And Whole Lot of Wolves on there. He literally rubbed lemon and salt into his body to rid ourselves of a curse to get a goal. And now he's got to do it every week.
Yep, that's him now.
This is where we are, people. This is where we are. So, as per usual, we since it's bank holiday, this is probably why we didn't get any correspondence, really. But there's been a few, mainly to have a go at me. And they are, if Sasha is the answer, then what is the question? That's from Caucus Wolf. Ed, what is the question?
Do we have a centre forward? I think he's the only answer we've got, I think, to that question.
Yes. Yes, he is. He's the answer to many questions.
Mm.
And the only one... I mean, Nagy's putting this in. Sean Dyche, is he as good as Stu makes out? Lost to both Lopetegui and Gary O'Neill at this point. I felt sorry for him yesterday. He was there looking all prim and proper again in his suit jacket on the bench, just shirt and tie, looking all nice. And look what he's got to work with.
Everton's just terrible. Aren't they? So I don't even blame Sean Dyche for any of that nonsense. I mean, they were terrible last year. They were terrible the year before that. And it looks like they're going to continue to be nothing but terrible. And I really don't like the fact that they're moving to this new ground. So a piece of me secretly hopes that they're going to be relegated. But it just seems inevitable that they're going down at some point. If not this year, then soon.
It would be.
It's only Sean Dyche that could get any of that shambles to do anything. He knows what he is, and I respect him for that. I didn't want him at Wolves, Stu, I'll say that now. But you have to respect the work he did at Burnley. You have to respect the work he did at Watford before that. And he's a manager of a certain type that will he's not Allardyce, but he's better than Allardyce, if you know what I mean. He knows how this league works. He did so much on a shoestring at Burnley. The thing with Burnley, I think no one even talks about is no players wanted to go there because no one wanted to live there. There's nothing there. So he did all of that with them, kept them up for year on year, got them into Europe once, I think, if I remember rightly, or at least close to it.
Yeah,
so yes, he is good,
them.
but Blake's right. Everton are just woeful. They are woeful. If you lose to us at home with the basket case of a team we've got at the moment, then that should tell you everything you need to know about Everton, and it's not Sean Dyche's fault.
I mean, that stat yesterday was mental that someone put up on Twitter that 3 of our last 4 away wins have come at Everton. The Southampton down to 10 men was the only other one, and they got relegated. So it's it kind of says where we are at that. I mean, the traditional Everton boo was quite hilarious yesterday. Considering the amount of added time that we've had this season, to see them just up and leave as soon as the ball in the back of the net was pretty awful, really.
Yeah. Well, Michael King coming on at 90 minutes to play centre forward probably also tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. They're maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the year. It happened to Sunderland before when they were at Roker, and they got relegated and had to play in Division 1 at the Stadium of Light their first season. So it's not unprecedented. It would be hilarious if the Everton boys are here in the Championship next year. But enough about Everton, enough about us. If you say now, Blake has said we're signing no one at all. Eddie's saying maybe a couple on loan. We're not going to do a preview before then, so before Blackpool, so we'll do it now. What do you expect from Blackpool? Do you even care? So I'm guessing that you can't see it in America yet because of reasons, Blake. Will you listen to this on Wolves Radio?
Oh, I will be, because I'm coming for holiday when the 3rd round would be being played, or what is it, 4th round, whatever's next. So I'm praying that Wolves go through so I can get to another match. Praying, but yes. We'll see. But I think it's probably going to be a much harder game than we're probably expecting. I mean, you would kind of think with Blackpool, you would think that with Blackpool at home, it would just be an easy win and move through. But something just tells. Well, I think first of all, Wolves are probably going to be paying as much attention to the league as we can this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if we play basically our B team. And what the heck even is our B team at this rate? So I wouldn't be surprised if Blackpool actually cause problems. Don't think they're going to. Well, they might win. I don't think they're going to win, but I think that they are going to cause more problems than we'd hope.
Oh, no, come on. And there's, for the audio listeners, Sean Crow in the comments, Hodge and Boubacar need to get some run out. Yeah, they do. I think this is the perfect opportunity to do that. And you've got to play Fabio, haven't you, Ed? Just for confidence reasons?
Goals that we should. Yes, I'm there. I'm making the most of it still being school holidays, and I can get my boy there and not feel guilty next day when he's tired at school. So we're there. And we should pump them, right? This should just be a formality. But I mean, was it Notts County when we had to bring on Kevin Doyle and Stephen Fletcher a few years ago just to make it after Lee Hughes scored? I just hope it's not that, because there's no extra time this year. Now it's straight to penalties, and I could do without that. So I'm hoping that. I mean, the B team doesn't look too far off the A team because there's not enough depth to have a B team. So it'll be a change of goalkeeper. Totti will play, won't he? It'll be one of the left backs. Doherty will get a run out. I mean, all of those are Premier League players, and Blackpool don't have anyone. So on paper, it looks like a formality.
But it's the Carabao Cup. And, yeah. I mean, the irony is that they've released the last time we won anything at all in the that glorious 1980 League Cup replica shirt, which I'm so tempted by. There's only so much money, isn't there? There's so much money in the world, and they keep doing this to us, and they annoy us and they piss us off so much, and we still give them money. We can't help ourselves. It's the fact that there is penalties, and that I'm not going to be back home after 11 o'clock. It will be interesting though after the cock up with all the ticketing issues and all that. How many people are actually there tomorrow? Because I know 10 at least. I mean, that's personally in my little circle of friends who are not bothering because they couldn't get they couldn't buy their own ticket for this game because the website is so bad.
Yeah.
And with everything else that's going on, you think Wolves kids plus Kana equals financial ruin from Jordan P. There. We know the pain. We know the pain.
Yeah. I spent an inordinate amount of money at the home game last week. Tickets, the travel, a full kit for my son, and you start totting it all up, and you just go, you can't do this. This makes no sense. Why am I doing this? You look back on it used to be in my student days. You look back on your bank details with dread when you checked your paper statements maybe, and you go, bloody hell, I spent that much. And now you can look at it on your phone and you go, have I dropped 200 quid on one day out where we lost 4-1? And you wonder why the hell you do it.
There's no answer to it, is there? But
no.
Most importantly, did you bow down to their pies? The pie fiasco.
I've never. I don't think I've bought anything from inside the stadium. I had a season ticket all the way through the Mick McCarthy years and a bit before that. And other than a program, I don't think I ever spent anything in the ground. I never do that. That's not for me. They have enough off me.
Well, they've had enough off me as well now because I'm not doing it anymore. I'm paying nearly £6 for a pie.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
Release another replica kit. There's your 40 quid, but
yep.
Charge you nearly 6 quid for the pie. That's enough. But yes, we've rambled enough anyway. We actually beat someone. We won a game of football, and we celebrated like lunatics. And my voice managed it, so everyone's a winner. Now it is your hat-trick ball by Black Ed. And I'm guessing that no one else is going to come on after Blackpool. Score prediction right now at this point. Not. We're not going to penalties. We're not that bad. We're not spending money on silly emoji versions of Wolfie, Wendy, and their evil demonic son. Either.
Yeah, no.
They'll be there in fucking force tomorrow. Guarantee. Yep. Score prediction as of 9:45 on Sunday night.
I'm going to say Fabio gets a brace. We win 3-0.
Excellent stuff. Blake, come on. Happiness.
2-1 Wolves. it just has it written all over it for me.
I mean,
he's not wrong.
I know he's not wrong, and that's I'm trying to be Ted Lasso. Like I'm trying to believe this year. I'm trying mainly for my own financial gain and putting that bet on that we'll finish in the top half. Irrelevant on Tuesday, of course, but still, I think we're gonna have to go 2-1 as well. just because it's pain and they know what they're doing. But yes, so we got to win. We'll be in the third round, and Blake will be here to witness it. Happy days. So thank you everyone in the comments tonight. Hope you've enjoyed this weird episode. We won, yet we're still depressed. Only Wolves do that to you. So until next time, Blake, do you want to say goodbye to the people?
Cheers, everybody.
Ed, thanks for coming on. Short notice, but you did well. Hat-trick ball and everything.
Always a pleasure. I'll take my hat-trick ball now. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Never a chore. See you later, everyone.